Good afternoon, everybody. My name is A Weapons, Mid-Lyfe Music. Shouts out to the almighty LDBC. Go to ldbcsports.com where you can register, make a profile, interact with the brothers and sisters of the LDBC. Also, go to trilltalk.net where you can hear sports talk, social commentary, pick up some LDBC merch, and you can register to the forum on that site. Lastly, go to my second home, which is ticketvmedia.com, where you could pick up A Weapons music, A Weapons merch, Ticket TV merch, LDBC merch, and you can register to the forum on that site as well. This is my review on an audiobook that I just got through listening to. I started actually listening to it Thursday, and I finished listening to it today. The book is called The Gospel According to Luke, and the book is actually performed and written by TOTO guitar player and band manager Steve Lukather. And that's why you get the name Luke, because they call Steve Lukather Luke. Great book, classic. Most audiobooks are written to the place where it makes the author look good in the book. Steve Lukather did not do this. Like, basically what he did, he just told a story. He just told a story, straight up. He talked about the good things and he talked about the bad things. Like, if you listen to Paul Stanley's book, Paul Stanley from Kiss, Paul Stanley made himself look good in the whole story. And so did Gene Simmons. They all made themselves look good. Steve Lukather did not do this. He removed the ego situation and just told a story. Funny book, funny guy. He said a lot of things that you look at and go, what? But great, great, great book. And you can also tell he did some editing, because I believe if he told the whole stories about people that he banged or people that he know that cheated on their husbands or their wives, it would be crazy. So some things he could not talk about. But great book. The book is a little over 10 hours long. Great. And I loved it. And I got a feeling that this is really going to be a classic. Like, it really went into detail about how TOTO was formed, number one. The success of TOTO 4, which is the fourth TOTO album. The one that came out, I think it was 83 or 84. And I actually remember that because I remember the video for Africa when that came on Video Music Box. And it came on, what was it, Friday Night Videos? I'm in New York, y'all, so I'm just thinking about, this is almost 40 years ago. So when that came out during that time, I remember because we had a black and white TV. We didn't even have a color TV at that time. We had just a 13-inch black and white TV. And I remember watching that video. And I mean, to me, TOTO, I mean, they were just a funky group. Like, it was polished rock. Like, you know, they have a horn section. And they played different styles of music. And so Steve Lukather was basically going through the periods of when the first album started, before the first album started, how David Hungate, who was their bass player, David Page, who's the keyboard player, and prayers up to him, you know what I'm saying, that he recovers, and Jeff Porcaro, rest in peace. So how they were session musicians. They played on Steely Dan songs, Bog Skaggs. They played on a lot of people's stuff. Aretha Franklin, they played on a lot of stuff. Michael McDonald. And how they grabbed Steve Lukather in to be, you know, their guitar player. Because it was either him or Mike Landau. And they chose Steve Lukather because Steve Lukather had star appeal. So they picked him. And he talked about that period of time. He talked about the time when Jeff Porcaro had passed away. Then he had talked about the time where Jeff Porcaro's brother Mike, who took over bass duties after David Hungate retired, how Mike had passed away. Then he talked about how his parents had passed away. I mean, it was a great book, and it seems to be coming from an honest place. Like, you can tell when somebody sugarcoats something, but he didn't sugarcoat anything. It was from an honest place. You know, it had a lot of humor, and it had a lot of sadness in it too. Like, you know, how he lost people how his drinking and drug situation had basically caused the divorces of his two wives. You know what I'm saying? Him not being able to be around his children because he was too busy touring. A lot of things. A lot of things that they talked about. Now, this book was done in 2018. Now, there has been some, well, maybe one or two updates. One of the updates is that their first lead singer, Bobby Kimball, he's now going through dementia right now, and his health is fading like exponentially. So, let's just keep the prayers up for him. I think is he 71? He's either 71 or 72 years old. So let's just keep the prayers up for him. The PORCARO's patriarch, Joe PORCARO, the drummer, who actually gave birth to Jeff PORCARO and Mike PORCARO, he passed away last year. Since that time. And also, let's see, who else passed away? No, that was it as far as Toto's concerned. And then on top of that, I think Jeff PORCARO's wife, I think, I'm not sure. Jeff PORCARO's wife had sued over the name Toto, and she won. She won her case and everything. So whenever Toto performs or anything like that, they have to pay her a certain amount of money. Not saying that they weren't paying money initially, but I guess she just felt that more money was needed. And I think Steve PORCARO was in that situation too, where he decided that he needed more money for Toto. And Steve PORCARO was actually one of the founding members. He the one that did all the synthesizer work and some of the piano work for Toto. And like I said, I'm gonna actually look into this. I'm not gonna say blatantly that these people sued Toto, but I know Toto just lost a lawsuit. And so now, because they were gonna quit the band because David Page had a stroke. So they were actually going to quit Toto in 2019, but this year they decided, Steve Lukather decided, let me just bring the band back. Let me just bring the band back. I want to do shows. I want to perform. And so he got a couple of other people, like he went and got the singer that replaced Bobby Kimball, that ultimately replaced Bobby Kimball, Joe Williams, great singer. So they got him, and he was actually in the band after Fergie had left, and Fergie was supposed to be their next singer. Now, I think they only did one video with Fergie, and that was called Angel Don't Cry. And I think the problem they had with Fergie is that Fergie's voice wasn't constant. Like some days he would have great tours, and some days he would have real bad ones. He couldn't reach some of the notes. And that's the same thing that happened to Bobby Kimball. His voice started going down, and they would have to tune down like 2 steps, and then even then he was still struggling. But Joe Williams is the dude that they Joe Williams is the guy that they had from 80, I think it was 87, all the way up to the 2000s. No, all up to like the early 90s, and then they went and got some Milli Vanilli looking guy. I forgot his name right now. They got some Milli Vanilli looking guy, and he did some of the stuff, and he could hit the notes. But the thing that they wanted to put out with him is that he actually was a good looking guy, and he liked to dance around and stuff. So it was a whole different dynamic. He just wasn't a singer; he was a performer. Like Bobby Kimball is not a performer; he's a singer. And Joe Williams, the same thing. He's just a singer. But the guy that they had, the Milli Vanilli looking guy, he's actually a dancer. He looked like he had some sugar in his tank. But you know what I'm saying? He was a dancer. And so then they brought Bobby Kimball back. And of course, some of the notes he just couldn't do no more. And I think that what Steve Lukather should have just done was bring the pitch down. So at least, you know what I'm saying, he'll be able to deliver the vocals live or wherever. But I guess they decided not to do that. And then they brought Joe Williams back. And like I said, the book deals with a lot of stuff. Things that you wouldn't even think that happens with a band. Like you just think that it's all about cocaine binges and stuff like that. But there's a lot of strife that happens in bands too. And so I really loved this book. I really loved it. I think